Hey everyone, we're here with Lab from Thousand Mods. If you don't know him, you should check him out. Killer fucking band from Greece. New album Cheat Death is out now. Uh, Dude, Cheat Death is such a good fucking album. I'm like, it starts off, it's just jamming, and then like it gets to Speedhead and it changes a little bit. I'm like, holy fuck! Like, what was like? I guess what was the writing process like for Cheat Death for you?
First of all, thank you very much for the kind words and for having us here. Actually, Cheat Death is our fifth album,
Hmm.
and it's the first album that we actually last December of 2023. Our guitarist, one of our guitarists left the band, Yanis. We were the same lineup since the beginning of the band, the four of us, and Cheat Death was the first album that was composed and arranged and recorded just from the three of us. Although some of the songs are from the era that we composed together with Yannis, most of the songs are composed by the three of us. And the only different thing was this, that now we're like working as a three piece and not as a fourth piece. Although even working as a three piece, our mind, and especially George, the other guitarist, the guitarist that is still in the band, mindset, try to be, how to continue have this kind of two guitars, two guitar playing in the new songs, and he managed to also to record more and more guitars, in order to bring the music as we supposed to sound, and what is our, let's say, signature sound through the years. So yes, the whole thing was, as always, included a lot of jamming at the rehearsal space. It also had some ideas that George or Danny had during the quarantine, and we worked on these riffs or some arrangements. But of course, every time at the pre-production, a lot of things change. We add some stuff, we remove some stuff. We don't like a song at all, and something that we were for sure that we are going to record gets out or whatever. But yes, it was the three of us in the studio working on the songs again and again. Then each by himself trying to improve his parts or bring more ideas in the final stuff. And again, with the previous album, we recorded with Matt Bales, the producer. He's well known for the Mastodon albums, for Pearl Jam, for ISIS. I mean, for bands that we have Russian circles. One of our favorite bands of the heavy bands that we like in mostly of our musical life and journey. But this time he came in Athens to record it in a really well-known studio here. And we had also the opportunity, as it was in our hometown, to bring also some good friends to help with, some additional instruments as more vocals, like the singer Amy from Godsleep and Apollonia from the band Frenzy, both female singers that had two different style of vocals at Overthrown and Gods and Hammer. We brought a friend to play piano and 70s synths and stuff called Yomi. One of my friends that he's a really good percussionist. He played a special percussion in the beginning of Gods and Hammer. Nikos Veliotis, who's a cello player. Anyway, a lot of Greek friends that are really cool musicians, and we brought them to add some spice in our already existing songs.
Yeah, that's always, it's always a lot of fun when you can get your friends to come in and record with you because then it goes from being like okay, we have to do it this way, very particular to hey, let's have a good time. What can you
Why
bring
not?
to the table?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always a lot of fun. So like how long did it take you to record that and through the process, like what were some of the highs and lows that you guys were seeing?
Just the recording, it was like, I think, 3 weeks, around 21, 22 days, with a couple of days off once per week, to clear our mind, and also for Matt Bales to get back on. He's maybe the most hardworking person I have ever worked with. He was always 2 hours before from earlier than us in the studio, and he was leaving 2 hours later. And he works like this 12 or 14 hours, like 150%. He's there and he's amazing. And on the same at the same time, although he's almost like a robot, working, he understands that we are the musicians. We are kind of uh, not. It's not easy to be on such pace for so many hours. So
Yeah.
he has a mindset to let us go for a walk, or take a break, or understand that someone is not in his best day. So at this day, let's focus on something else. And this was maybe the best time and people management I have ever seen. In order everybody to bring his best result and use the most of his capabilities, but at the same time not be exhausted for the next song or whatever. And this
Yeah.
helped a lot. So highs and lows, of course, for all of us, but I will talk for myself for sure. Studio time sucks because it's you have an opportunity to record your music and something that comes from you. But when the button is off, it's there. You can not change something, even during the mix or whatever. After the mix is done or whatever. This is it. This is the song. If you play different in the jamming or in the jam session, or if you play different in the pre-production, whatever happened now, this is the song. So this brings to every musician, I think, a kind of stress, let's say, that you have to perform the best you can. So, uh, from this point of view, there is always a little bit of stress how to play the best you can and bring the best result. But at the same time, working with a guy like this, we brought us like some really cool vibes. Although he was like, he pushed us a lot. He made us go to our limits. But at the same time, he understood exactly what he wants and what we want to achieve and bring this result for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's good. Finding that person that essentially you can connect with that understands what it's like to be on the musician side as well. So like you said, you're having a really good day, that's what you focus on, or you're having a bad day. Let's focus on something that's going to alleviate some of that so you can just get through it and put it together. And then, you know, that can someone that can bring the best out of you as a musician. Um, I feel like there are a few key people out there that can do that. Like, most notably for me would be like Steve Albini. I feel
Of
like
course.
he's done so many, so many fantastic albums and has brought so much out from a lot of those, of shit, just a lot of bands over the last 30 or so years. Um, so it's great to have that, you know. What
Totally agree, man.
how did you guys like come to say like this is, we're gonna get Matt? Was it like a group decision, like that's all we're doing, or did you have a handful of people where you were like, oh, let's weigh and balance cost and professional and all that good stuff?
Uh, Actually, if we start from the early beginning of the band, uh, especially in our case, it's a kind of the cliche movie plot. First, we're friends, like childhood friends, that we were. Our hobby was to listen to rock and metal music.
Yeah.
Not even playing an instrument or whatever. Then George started playing guitar, and he came to me and he told me you should play drums or whatever. And we started practicing without even George was starting having some lessons, but I didn't even, know what is drumming or whatever. And we starting in a really when we were spending our summer vacation, and we started playing. I think at the age of let's say 16 or something like that. And after that, we started having, the most common cover bands playing covers from even from Black Sabbath, Metallica, or whatever, Judas Priest, to then getting in the more stoner rock stuff, playing some Caius covers, some an Electric Wizard cover, or I'm not sure. Down for sure. Corrosion of Conformity, we're playing back then. I Hate God, we were
Oh
playing.
yeah.
I mean, we're really interested in this kind of sound, and we're also doing covers. And then in 2006, uh, we said, okay, let's do a proper band and record a demo, and starting playing some shows. We're just playing, shows around the village that we come from in our vacation home. And in 2006, we said, let's do some proper gigs and have a demo. The demo then transitioned to do the first EP. And since then, even from the first album, from Super Van Vacation in 2011, we started to want to go on tour in Europe, abroad, And even from 2011, we did our first European tour. And since then, every time we just try to go to the next level step by step. So it was never, a guy with a plan came and told us how to become a movie, to become a successful band. Never, it was never, we were never, with a big agency. We have our own label. We have our own record store in Athens. I'm here right now. What you see behind me is the wall of the record
Nice.
store. Uh, we do almost everything DIY, and every time with our own resources, and of course with the help of good friends and good colleagues, try to move on.
That's, that's really cool. And it's cool that you all collectively are in that like DIY spirit. I think for me, I've always been of the mind that I want a band to own everything themselves. All the publishing, all the rights to all the merchandise and all the artwork, because for so long we've heard so many horror stories of, well, I saw, we signed to this label and they gave us, this shit deal or whatever that is. And partially because maybe they didn't read the contract or didn't understand it, but partially because they really relied on someone else to get them where they want to go. Whereas in the DIY spirit, it's you carve your own path. Like I just watched a thing with Henry Rollins that was like, back in the 70s and 80s, what did we do? It was this big forest and we were there carving our own path and making our own way. And um, I think more bands should be like that. Like, do it yourself, put out your own music, figure out your own distribution, like, but own it yourself, and don't sign all those rights away. I mean, even, you mentioned I Hate God. I fucking love those dudes, they're all just great dudes and the music is fantastic. And they'll, in conversations I've had with both Gary and Jimmy, they both said like, we did our thing, signed to a label, and we got burnt. So we learned. Now we record and own everything, and we license it to the label. So we still get to say on this is how it's going to happen, and the label can't say, well, we're going to force you to do this. Like, no, it's ours. Fuck you. We're gonna do it. But that's how, in my mind, that's how an artist also keeps the integrity of the music at heart. And there isn't someone going, well, I think you need to really change this so you can get more commercial success. Like, no, we did this so we could have fun. Like, let's fucking have fun and do what we want to do and follow that path, So good on you guys for that. That is fucking awesome.
Thank you very much. And of course, the problem is that I had got, of course, an older generation from us, but especially the generations around the 90s and early zeros, uh, they were, because the transition to the grunge explosion made a lot of a lot of bands believing that the label will come and make me a super whatever, a superstar or
Yeah.
whatever. And that is not the case, I think, since the early zeros and moving on. So for us, of course, it was much easier because we were really lucky to start the band while there was the internet in a really cool form. I mean, we had
Yeah.
MySpace, we had uh, platforms to download music and learn new music really fast, and so much music. I mean, we were downloading from stonerrock.com. We had Soulseek and finding so many cool albums that it was, especially for a country like Greece, it was not easy to find,
Yeah.
to go to the record store and find, for example, the underground of USA or Europe. And also it helped create a community from musicians, especially around Europe, that we will share promoter emails, venues that are cool, places that you should go and play. And this was easier for us to arrange small European tours and build a fan base from scratch.
Yeah. That I will always believe that that's the way to do it. Like we look back, you mentioned, Metallica, and that's the era that I grew up in, like Metallica, Slayer, Iron Maiden, Testament, Exodus, all of those like 80s, thrash bands, and seeing the way, and same with punk, right? The thrash and the punk bands carving their own way, building the grassroots fan base versus going out and being like that flash in a pan band that was like, oh, we spent all this money on advertising and we got all these fans, but we did really good with one album or one single, and then like, well, shit, we used to be able to sell, 10,000 seats, and now we're out here doing three or 400. Like, it's always better in my mind, right? It's always better to do the grassroots because you start out in those smaller clubs, but when you get to the bigger spaces, those fans are um like me, fucking rabid. Like, I want to go see that band every time I can, you know?
The foundations are much more stable and concrete
Yeah,
for your fan base, for sure.
100%. Yeah. So what, for you, what has that been like? Like, you guys are five albums in now, like building that and touring. What have you seen as far as fan base goes when you go out and tour?
We were really lucky that as we're growing up, we're really lucky as we're growing up as a band and as players as well. We're really lucky that there was also a really concrete Greek underground scene. We started as playing for friends, and then we have started meeting and getting know other bands, maybe from similar genres, or people that enjoy the same music with us. Then we started arranging shows with these bands. So our friends and their friends were coming. I mean, step by step. But when we released the Superman Vacation, we had already established a good fan base in Greece, and that helped us to say, okay, why not try to do it in the Balkans, in Central Europe, or whatever. And we realized we already knew through MySpace and Facebook that there are a lot of similar people doing the same thing all across Europe. And and actually the first European tour we ever did, 2011, it was like sometimes we were playing in front of three persons, sometimes we were playing in front of 100 persons.
Yeah.
Both nights were fucking amazing because we were in a completely other country, and people were already knew our music, and they were having fun with our music. So I think this was the first, let's say, the first turning point that we said, okay, we can do this. We should try and build this thing up. And I think after 2016, with Repeat Exposure 2, we had a really good base all across Europe. And our European tours were more than break even finally, after 4 or 5 European tours. And then we said, okay, let's now we have to try also to go to the USA. So we also did our first US tour in 2018, then our first Australian tour in 2019, and from then on, of course, with a small COVID break in between,
Yeah.
we are almost, I think, almost every year we're like 80 to 100 dates on the road.
Hell
And I
yeah.
still, yeah, and I think still this is the only way. If you don't write pop music or if you are not in a really advertised label or whatever, I think playing gigs is the only way to achieve a good and loyal fan base.
Yeah. You're 100%. I absolutely agree. Even having a big label behind you, like if you're not out there playing consistently and building, getting face to face with the fans, it's really hard to grow that foundation, and have that foundation to go out and play bigger shows and better shows and different places. Like if you're not getting out there to do it, you're not doing you're not doing what you need to do as a band, you know? So 2025, we're 2 months into Cheat Death now, which again, damn, is a good fucking album.
Thank you, man.
What does what does touring look like for you guys this year? You have plans to come hit the States again?
I think as I see it, 2026 is going to be the proper year to come to the States again.
Okay.
We have already announced our UK tour for next month. Actually, we play a small run, 5 gigs in UK in February. Then we have the main headline tour in Central Europe, which is going to be like 32 or 33 days with 30 shows, really intense, with mostly big cities and a new next level venues, bigger capacities that we really can't wait to go and check, how can we do it in this kind of situation. And then we plan for the first time to go and do a proper Balkan tour. We have played in Balkans since 2011, but now there are some countries, there is logistically it's difficult to go because the borders they are not in European Union, so the borders are not easy to pass. You need a special paper for all your gear. It's not easy to make visas or whatever. But now it's our time to go there because there is a big fan base that we haven't played for. And hopefully this year we are going also to play finally in Latin America. We have been talking with Latin America promoters for many years. We have a really loyal fan base that we can see it in Spotify, YouTube, we can see it on the merch sales or whatever. But we have never had the proper connection to do it. I think this year we are going to do Latin America. So that's why logistical wise, I think USA will come next year.
Hell yeah. No, that's cool. Like especially with you guys getting into places you haven't been before. That is so fucking awesome. I mean, that's ultimately, I think that's what every band wants, to constantly grow and to go to places they've not been before. And I'll I will constantly reference back to like Metallica and things like that, because like they are, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, they're the only band to have played on all seven
Exactly,
continents.
exactly.
Like
It's true. Exactly.
how fucking cool is that, right?
They
Like,
they they arrange a special gig in Antarctica,
yeah,
playing just for scientists
yeah.
in a silent disco scenery. Everybody was listening through headphones. Fucking amazing. I mean, if they could do it, I think they would play also on the moon. But I think it's not achievable yet. Yet.
Not yet. Let's give it
Not
10
yet.
years. I think, the moon and Mars is like the next, the
Step
next
for them.
thing. Yeah. How how fucking cool would that be? We were the first band to play on Mars. Like I think that's cool. We've got a venue in Colorado, Red Rocks. It's it's an
Fucking amazing.
yeah.
I've
So
never been. I have got so many videos. Of course, it's a dream to play there. It looks perfect. I would love to go as an attendee and of course as a musician.
yeah, and we just had like the first death metal bands ever to play Red Rocks happen this year, and I was like, yeah, like you can't tell I love death metal, so
Okay. Who was it? Was Gojira or some
no,
who?
not it
Ah,
was it was Cannibal Corpse, Frozen
ah,
Soul, and there was two other bands, and I feel like an
nice,
asshole. So I'm sorry, like whoever the two other bands are, but like Frozen Soul and Cannibal Corpse, I love both those bands, and for them to be able to play Red Rocks and to break
of course.
that glass ceiling is fucking epic. So for you guys to go hit Latin America, like fuck yeah, keep doing that shit, keep plugging away. That's so awesome.
Thank you, man. Our mentality is that if there is a place that there are fans, why don't go there?
That's exactly it. So what is, with you guys doing your own label, what does distribution look like for you? Like, was it hard for you to get the distribution initially, and how have you seen it grow?
Of course, it's difficult because the most big distribution companies, they don't care to work with small labels,
Right.
and that's why in Europe now we have a really good distributor. They are part of Orchard, which it's a company that does mostly digital distribution in Spotify and stuff, but now they do also physical distribution. But for this reason, we teamed up for the last album. We teamed up also with Ripple from USA, with Todd, of course, in order to be sure that we can have our vinyls and CDs also in some record stores in USA. Because even if we do it by ourselves, it's much difficult, and also due to the problem with customs and all this stuff, it's a pain in the ass to arrange it all by ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's why we teamed up with Ripple, and I think it was a really good decision.
I think so too. Like Todd and that whole Ripple staff, they do such a good job. And I part of that reason is because they're not they're not there to make $1 million. They're there because they're fans of the music,
Exactly.
and to have that, that their ethics are in line. Like they want you to keep putting out music, and man, like fuck yeah, I think that's a tremendous partnership to have. I'll actually see Todd here in a couple of weeks. We're gonna fly out to Vegas for Planet Desert Rock weekend.
Nice.
I'm excited for that.
Give my greetings, and of course to John Gist and the whole crew
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. I just talked to John last week, man. What a what a funny dude.
Yeah.
I- like another one, that's another one. He's like, I'm not gonna make any money doing this. He's putting all his time and energy into, personally curating this festival. And I think there are times for him where he gets so stressed out, like, oh shit. But man, that like the lineup this year is fantastic.
Nice, man. I think this is the only way for the underground and the whole scene to move on. People like this at some places to do it just for the love of music and get help the bands grow, and then I think the whole scene grows.
It absolutely does. And that's, it's really important that everyone stick together too. And I think that's a really cool thing, because talking to Todd, he constantly references these other labels that are in the same arena, like Marco and fucking God, I'm gonna like space King Volume, right? Magnetic Eye, all of these people, they're the love for each other and the love for the music it's second to none. And it's great to see that everyone supports everyone. Because that's what we've got to do, right?
Yeah, man, exactly. And this is also the reason that we started also with our own label to try and help other bands, uh, help them surpass. all the first steps that we had to do, and try to connect them with persons that we met along the way, and we know who is good and who is not, to help them do a proper recording and then put it on vinyl without being, so much stressed about the cost or whatever. And I now that we are in this kind of position that we are able to do it for the love of music and help the scene grow, I think it's although nobody will ever make money from this, it's good for the whole scene to grow.
I, I'm going to argue. I think people will make money from it. And it might not be millions and millions of dollars, but it's going to be, it's going to be fantastic for everyone because it goes back to building that foundation. You build that solid foundation
Yeah, yeah.
and it you constantly build on top of it. So good for you for even saying, hey, let us help out these other bands who don't know the proper steps and let's guide them in a way that they're not going to get screwed or mess with the wrong people because that's I think a lot of people
or
miss
or
that.
just or just accelerate the thing, do it a little bit faster.
Yeah.
For us, it took us like, let's say, 5 years since we're about to record and release our first album. It took us like many years for tours to get break even. All the stuff that now, with a little bit of experience, we can avoid it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's super cool. So, is there one place in the world? Obviously, you've got Latin America coming, but is there one place in the world that you guys would really, really like to play where that would be like, this is the place we have to play?
And not Red Rocks, eh?
That it can literally be anywhere you want. If you want to
Yeah,
play on the
if
fucking moon, that's cool with
if
me.
we if we talk about countries, I think after Latin America, my favorite place to go and visit for the first time, it would be Japan. I think probably it's something completely out of our culture and out of our minds.
Yeah.
And I know also that the fans are crazy there, so I would love to do it. And at some point, play also Japan. And then I think Asia, Indonesia, these crazy places that I know that they have really, really big fan base and people that live for rock and metal music,
Yeah.
but are not, on the standard map of festival and band touring or whatever. People there, I think, are much more thirsty, and at the end of the day, they are more thankful as fans for the bands as it is the let's say one German guy that can see 10 bands per week
Yeah.
every fucking week of the year.
I think those
Although
are
also German fans are really fighting amazing and hardcore, and also trying to support the band through buying lots of merchandise. I mean, every country has kind of different fan mentality,
yeah.
and you can see crazy people, especially in the South Mediterranean, that every gig is a crazy party, everyone dancing. And you can go to Scandinavia, no one's dancing, but people go then to the merchandise and buy all the merchandise because this is how they support the band.
As it should be. I think I love seeing a fan go up to the merch table and go, okay, I'm just gonna take everything now. Like I'm guilty of it. My wife's like, you already have 10 million black shirts. Why'd you go buy five more from that same band? Like, because I want to support them, like
And
that's
and, and to be honest, during our last US tour last year, uh, 1.5 year ago now, it was maybe the first time that we saw so many people wanted to support and almost being thankful that we came from Greece to play in USA. Although there were so many fans that were driving 3, 4, 5 hours just for the show and going back to the town, which is for us is like unbelievable that someone will do all this driving in the same day, maybe a work day tomorrow, or
yeah.
whatever, just to see a gig and go back.
Yeah, well, I mean, here in the States, we kind of get used to it, like if we want to see a show, sometimes we have to make those sacrifices. I mean, I've done it. I've done it a number of times. I've flown. I live like out on the like East Coast, Midwest kind of, and I've flown to the West Coast so I could go see a show. Like, I'm gonna fly out there and do this, and then I'm gonna just go home. And it was quick round trip, but man, we
Nice.
it's I think it's very different from Europe. When bands tend to tour Europe, it's a couple hours show, couple hours show.
Mostly, yes. It's like the most for a van tour. Most of the times, it's like max 500 kilometers. So let's say like 350 miles or whatever distance, which is maybe 5 hours, 6 hours driving, which is the max the distance you're going to do, during the tour. Sometimes it's just 2 hours driving and you are there.
Yeah, not here. Sometimes you're like, oh, we're only doing 6 hours. Cool, that's good.
Exactly.
Okay, lab plans this year. You've got some tours happening. Do you guys have any plans to release vi lyric videos or anything else like coming in the next couple of months by chance?
We have a plan. We have a plan to do some videos well on the road in Europe next March and April. We have some really good friends all around Europe that can help with this. We already did just a video for Hammer from a really good friend that he's a videographer. We trust him a lot, and he has his own view. And he brought like a horror movie, kind of crazy stuff he did for Hammer. But in general, to be completely honest with you, I think that the video clip medium has been dead the last couple of years.
Ooh,
I mean, yes, I don't think we still live in the era of me. Also, I'm talking also personally that I was hanging out with my friends and would watch, binge watch 15 or 20 video clips, or being at YouTube and try to find music through videos and stuff like this. I think now most of people listen music through Spotify and Apple Music and stuff. And videos, it's like all most of the people want to consume a 30-second video, reels, all this kind of stuff. That for our music, I think it will be never. It's not going to be how we appropriate can
bands.
visualize our music.
Yeah,
Our music mostly is long tracks, heavy tracks, or whatever. Maybe Speedhead, as you said, could be a fast reel or whatever, but it's not the way our music we want to be visualized.
sure.
So yes, for sure we'll do some stuff because our thing is that we like to cooperate with other artists, and they bring their view, how our music is through their view. We never give guidelines. We never are like we want this and this and this. We want them how they create art with our music. And of course, we are continue to do it, but it's not our first go to think, oh, let's do the video clip. This will skyrocket the sales or whatever. This has been in the past, and I think it's not coming at least to our kind of genre. But yeah, next spring, I think we're going to do a couple of special videos. Maybe we are in with some really good friends. We are talking maybe do a touring documentary. Maybe try, to bring something different. And because we are mostly on the road, we want to capture the essence and how it is to be on the road with thousand modes or whatever.
That's really cool. I always dig those like touring documentaries of a band where they would, like, oh, on this tour, here's everything, and there's backstage and live
Yeah.
shots and interviews. Um, that was always really cool to me because it allowed me to like nerd out and go, oh, look, you like hear they're shitting on each other before the show or whatever it is. They're having fun. It's great. Um, those are that has always been of interest to me. It highlights the highs, the lows, the mediums. It just kind of gives an overall great view of touring.
And for people to finally understand that touring with a band, it's not sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah.
it's it's exactly the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole lot of
Okay,
late.
it's just rock and roll.
Yeah. Rock and roll, no sleep. You're
No
like,
sleep.
you're like,
Van life, the whole
yeah.
life.
Yeah. Like put your shoes back on, your feet stink, all that good stuff. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, Lab, I know that you've got a little bit of time before your next interview, so I'm not going to hold you back so you can go restroom, eat, drink, whatever you're going to do. Dude, thank you very much for taking time out of your night to come and hang out with me.
Man, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having us, and hopefully we'll meet also in person maybe next year.
Yes. Yeah, when you guys are in the States, I'll be at least one show, probably multiple.
Perfect, man. I
All
really
right.
can't wait.
Hell yeah.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
have a great night.
Cheers, cheers, man.
See ya.